The Reuters Institute for the Study of Journalism annually tracks media consumption and trust worldwide. Their 2024 report shows a continued decline in media trust in Canada, with only 38% of Canadians trusting the news in 2024, down from 40% in 2023 and 55% in 2016. And it's not hard to see why. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Jonny Says So, episode 14, Pierre Poilievre versus the legacy media. The fact that the term legacy media even exists at all only serves to demonstrate my point. Now, there used to be a time when this word didn't exist, and people in this smaller space of, let's say, YouTubers, podcasters, citizen journalists, whatever you want to call alternative media, something happened, and they actually became the mainstream media. A perfect example of this is Joe Rogan. You could look at any one of his podcasts, and it just completely overshadows anything that CNN or any of these larger news organizations puts out. And it's not hard to see why. More and more people are starting to wake up to the fact that these organizations are completely biased and dishonest in their reporting. I want to show you a little example of what I'm talking about here, guys. CTV News. Poilievre's Conservative Party embracing language of mainstream conspiracy theories. CBC News. Poilievre's Conservative Party embracing language of mainstream conspiracy theories. Toronto Star. Poilievre's Conservative Party embracing language of mainstream conspiracy theories. City News. Poilievre's Conservative Party embracing language of mainstream conspiracy theories. I'm sorry for the redundancy, but that's exactly what you're going to get when you listen to these people.
Headley.
And I'm Ryan Wolf.
Our greatest responsibility is to serve our
Treasure Valley communities,
the El Paso, Las Cruces communities,
Eastern Iowa communities,
Mid-Michigan communities.
We are extremely proud of the quality, balanced journalism that CBS 4 News produces.
But
we are concerned about troubling, irresponsible, one-sided news stories plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and false
news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our...
You get the point, guys. Now, this clip went viral a couple of years ago, and this showcases a bunch of American news stations that were owned by the same affiliate, but the point still stands, guys. This stuff is going on in Canada as well. Now, this was brought to our attention last year when CTV News disingenuously edited a clip of Pierre Poilievre to make it seem like he was saying something that he did not say.
Last night, in a report on this broadcast, we presented a comment by the official opposition leader Pierre Poilievre that was taken out of context. It left viewers with the impression the Conservative non-confidence motion was to defeat the Liberals' dental care program. In fact, the Conservatives have made it clear the motion is based on a long list of issues with the Liberal government, including the carbon tax. A misunderstanding during the editing process resulted in this misrepresentation. We unreservedly apologize to Mr. Poilievre and the Conservative Party of Canada. We regret this report went to air in the manner it did.
A misunderstanding during the editing process is some pretty creative revisionism there. No, guys, this wasn't just taking something out of context. This was carefully and meticulously editing an entire paragraph-long statement to construct one sentence, not only taking out words, but putting them in a completely different order. Look at this. 146, Pierre Poilievre clip. right here, check out the colorful writing, guys. This is the sentence that they constructed. That's why we need to put forward a motion. And they were using that in the context of the dental plan. Now notice the order of that. Yellow, green, purple. That's why in yellow, we need in green to put forward a motion in purple. Now this long statement here is the text that it was taken from. The speech, rather. It goes, yellow, that's why, purple, to put forward a motion, and then a few sentences later, we need in green there. Yellow, purple, green. And then the one sentence they made goes, yellow, green, purple. That is more than just taking something out of context. That is outright lying. So it's not hard to see why you often see these viral moments of Pierre Poilievre having it out with journalists. And sometimes he's calm and collected about it, and sometimes he's not. I want to take you to an older one of him absolutely calling them out for the fact that they are bought and paid for by the Liberal government.
Why did your party want to grant over $100 million in regulatory relief to the mainstream media?
We don't want to give any tax dollars to the mainstream media. Our belief is that the mainstream media and all...
Decision, then? Your party's decision to grant regulatory relief?
So I'll answer your question. The media that is bought and paid for, where are you from, by the way? Which outlet are you in? Which outlet? Which outlet?
Canadian Press.
Ah, okay, Canadian Press. So you're talking about tax dollars for media. Isn't CBC your biggest? Isn't no? I can answer.
I asked regulatory.
Yeah, and you want an answer?
Why does your party want to grant $100 million in regulatory relief to the mainstream media?
When would you like me to respond? Okay, good. Okay, great. So of course you are a tax-funded media outlet and spreading Justin Trudeau's message.
Why did you
and so you're interrupting me again. You're interrupting me again. I am answering the question.
Do you regret granting $100 million in regulatory relief to the mainstream media?
Your question is false. So if you can allow me to correct your falsehoods, then we can answer the question directly. So, false. Canadian Conservatives do not believe in giving tax dollars to media outlets. That's Justin Trudeau. That's Justin Trudeau. That's Justin Trudeau. Okay, if you don't want me to answer the question, I'll move on to someone else. You're a tax-funded mouthpiece to the PMO. That's the reality. So,
question answered. You committed.
I'm trying to, but you're heckling. Are you going to let me answer the question, or are you just going to heckle on behalf of Justin Trudeau? Which is it?
I would love the answer.
Great. So our party does not support tax dollars for media outlets, because that's when we end up with biased media like you, who come here and articulate the PMO talking points rather than delivering real news to the Canadian people. Justin Trudeau gave Bell Media and other media tax dollars supposedly to protect media jobs. And then what happened? They all got laid off. So that the supposed justification for giving Bell all this money was that it was going to save media jobs. Well, they all got fired. So I guess that wasn't the real reason for giving tax dollars to the media. The real reason was for him to buy support from the media, which is what it actually did. So we believe that media should be driven by readership, viewership, and listenership, and that's what allows it to represent the Canadian people rather than taking marching orders from the PMO.
Now, I think we can all agree that you would be very hard-pressed to find a legacy media journalist press Justin Trudeau, Jagmeet Singh, or now Mark Carney with the same sort of tone. Now, I want to take you to a different clip here. Pierre Poilievre exposes a dishonest legacy media journalist asking him a smear question about him quote-unquote dog whistling to the far right by asking one simple question in response. This one is hilarious, guys.
Hello, Mr. Poilievre. A number of your own comments and actions have been characterized as dog whistling to the far right.
By who?
By a number of different. But I think it's been characterized by that way. But are you trying to court? Are you trying to court the far right?
Sorry, I just need to clarify. By who?
By a number of different experts and a number of different people who work in this. Okay, well, I'm.
Who are the experts? That's a very reasonable question. They always do this, guys. They just get to say, well, experts say. Experts. Which experts? It's a very reasonable question.
I think it's been established that this is a concern. Are you trying to court the far right vote?
Who are these experts? You say that there are experts who are saying this. Who are they?
My question is, are you trying to court the far right vote?
I'm sorry. Your question seems to be based on a false premise. You can't even tell me who these experts are. It sounds like it's just a CBC smear job. Thank you.
But what about the question about whether that's
the answer is that
intention?
I have a common sense agenda to axe the carbon tax, bring home powerful paychecks, clear the way to build affordable homes, to put people in housing that they can afford. That is a common sense, mainstream Canadian agenda. And I know that Justin Trudeau's supporters are so desperate to distract from that because his political career is falling apart. So we're seeing an attempt here to distract and protect Justin Trudeau from his extremely unpopular carbon taxes and other failing policies. But we won't let him or his or others distract from that reality. So thank you.
And then, of course, you have the infamous Apple clip.
On the topic, I mean, in terms of your sort of strategy currently, you're obviously taking the populist pathway.
What does that mean?
Well, appealing to people's more emotional levels, I would guess. I mean, certainly you tap very strong ideological language quite frequently.
Like what?
Left wing, this and that, right wing. I mean, it's that type of ideological spectrum.
I never really talk about left or right.
Anyways, I don't
really believe in that.
Okay, a lot of people would say that you're simply taking a page out of the Donald Trump book.
Like which people would say that?
Well,
And there it is again. I'm not going to play the whole clip because we've all seen it, but they just get to say this. A lot of people are saying this. A lot of people are saying this. Like who's saying that? Is it you? Is it a bunch of different legacy media organizations? Because at this point, what the reporter here is saying is not wrong. Yes, a lot of people are saying these things, and it's you. It's you people. I have another great example of this to show you from just earlier this week after Mark Carney's coronation. Pierre Poilievre was on Parliament Hill to give a statement and take questions from the media. And these quote-unquote questions, guys, were just reiterations of Mark Carney's talking points and attacks on Poilievre given directly to him by the media. And he did not take the bait. Not at all.
Mr. Poilievre, what economic and diplomatic experience do you have to go up against Donald Trump?
Oh, quite a lot, actually. So I was the Minister of Jobs and Housing in the Harper government, during which time housing cost half as much as it does today. I helped Mr. Harper cut the GST, cut income tax, cut business tax, and balance the budget. Over my time in Parliament, I've been scrutinizing and studying the books on the Public Accounts Committee, the Operations Committee, the Finance Committee. And if you want any proof that my economic ideas are the best, the Liberals are all trying to pretend that they're copying them right before the election. All the big economic questions of the last 5 years, Mark Carney has been wrong and exactly wrong, and I have been right. I said 5 years ago the money printing would cause inflation. He said deflation was on the horizon. I turned out to be right. I said the carbon tax would drive up food prices, and it did. Drove them up 37% faster in Canada than in the United States of America. I was the first parliamentarian to predict that we would have the inflation crisis, while Carney, Freeland, Trudeau, and others were saying that we would not. I was the first one to be, along with my Conservative colleagues, fighting for pipelines. Pipelines now everyone claims that they support after opposing them for the last 10 years. So if Mr. Carney is so smart on economics, how is it that he was so wrong for so long on all of the economic issues? One thing I don't have experience with is taking jobs out of Canada, moving them to the United States. selling out our resource workers to support Middle Eastern resource workers. That's not the kind of experience that I have, but that's not the kind of experience that we want.
Despite what you're saying, recent polls are showing that more Canadians trust Mark Carney to deal with Donald Trump rather than you. Why do you think your message is not cutting through and getting through to Canadians?
Canadians have a choice in the next election. Do they want to give the Liberals a fourth term in power after they drove up housing costs, food prices, and taxes, blocked resource projects, and made us more reliant on Trump's America? Or do they want Canada First Conservatives who will axe taxes, build homes, unleash production of our resources, and bring home paychecks, production, and sovereignty to our country?
Mr. Poilievre, what instructions have you given your caucus members and your candidates about wearing MAGA merchandise or using MAGA slogans?
I can't believe she just asked that question. What kind of question is that? I want to know in the comments down below, guys, have you seen any of your local Conservative MPs sporting a MAGA hat? I mean, even before the trade war. Like, this is not something that happens. And, like, watch his face there. You can actually see Pierre Poilievre short circuit, where he wants to go into that old, like, confrontational kind of mode with the media, but he doesn't. Watch his face here. Like, he's really holding it back.
Well, my instruction is that we should put Canada first. We want to put our country first, stand up for our country against both American aggression, but also against the destructive Liberal policies that have made us helpless and reliant on the U.S. I have also made it clear to my members of Parliament that we should favor bringing jobs back to Canada, not move them to the United States of America as Mark Carney did when he had the chance.
Do you still think we're going to have a carbon tax election, considering Mark Carney says he's going to scrap the consumer one?
We are.
I love how frantic he was with that question. He was like, he just had to get that in there. He's like, Mark Carney's going to cancel the carbon tax. What are you going to do now?
Going to have a carbon tax election because Mark Carney has proposed to add another industrial carbon tax on top of the existing one. In days, Donald Trump could impose tariffs on Canadian steel. At the same time as Mark Carney says that he wants a new carbon tax on Canadian steel. By the way, it's not me that says his tax would apply to steel. It's him. In an interview he gave to CTV in Atlanta, Canada a month ago, he claimed that taxing steel was a great idea because people, he says, don't use steel anymore. Well, this building would come crashing down without steel. Automobiles would be impossible to make without steel. Our civilization is, the bones of our civilization is steel. And Mark Carney wants to bring in a big industrial carbon tax on our steel workers at exactly the same time.
Now, what he just said there about Mark Carney's carbon tax on steel, which I broke down in my last video, is essentially a tariff. That was a good point. But speaking of steel workers, I gotta show you guys something. Now, full credit to the Pleb Reporter on Twitter. Steel workers refused to stand behind Mark Carney during his press conference today. So he got his Liberal MPs to play dress up as steel workers instead. What a loser. And look at this. Karina Gould played dress up too. Look at that, guys. He can't even get real steel workers to stand behind him when he visits a steel plant. Don't be fooled by the polls, guys. All of this excitement is astroturfed. Now, how about we compare that to Pierre Poilievre visiting a steel plant? Look at that. He doesn't need to have his MPs dress up as steel workers to pose for a photo. No, anywhere the guy goes, people want to talk to him and get a picture with him. None of this fake astroturfed bullshit. But anyways, that's my show for tonight, guys. I'd love to know what you think down in the comments. Are you one of the 37 and dwindling quickly percent of Canadians that still have any sort of trust in the legacy media. And as always, guys, please like my videos, share them on social media, and most importantly, subscribe if you want to keep seeing my content. And as always, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.